the most beautiful woman in the world handed the U.S. military the secret behind Wi-Fi. They looked at her face, and they didn't believe her. This is the story they ignored for 50 years. In the 1940s, Hedy Lamarr was one of the most famous faces on Earth. Hollywood billed her as the most beautiful woman in the world. Audiences came to stare. Almost no one bothered to ask what she was thinking. She saw the joke better than anyone. Any girl can be glamorous, she said. All you have to do is stand still and look stupid. But behind that face was a restless, self-taught mind that never stopped inventing. She was born Hedwig Kiesler in Vienna in 1914. As a girl, she took apart music boxes just to see how they worked. She was Jewish, brilliant, and curious, in a Europe that was about to turn very dangerous. At 19, she married Friedrich Mandl, an arms dealer who sold weapons to fascist Italy and Nazi Germany. He paraded her at dinners with generals and engineers, where they talked openly about torpedoes and weapon systems. Hedy sat quietly and absorbed every word. The marriage was a gilded cage. By her own telling, she drugged a maid, slipped out in disguise, and fled across Europe. She reached London, charmed the head of MGM, and sailed for Hollywood and stardom. Then war came, and Hedy wanted to help. She fixed on a real problem. The Navy was building torpedoes you could steer by radio, but they ran on a single radio frequency. And if the enemy found that frequency, they could jam it and send your own torpedo veering harmlessly off course. Here was her idea. What if the signal didn't sit on one frequency at all? What if it hopped constantly from frequency to frequency to frequency? The enemy can't jam a signal that won't hold still. But there's a catch. The sender and the receiver have to hop in perfect sync, or the whole thing is just noise. And this is the part that's pure genius. To keep them in sync, she teamed up with an avant-garde composer, George Antheil, who once synchronized player pianos for a concert. They used the same trick, a slotted paper roll, like a piano roll, to drive both ends through the same secret sequence. 88 frequencies, matching the 88 keys of a piano. In 1942, they were granted U.S. patent number 2292387, the secret communication system. A Hollywood actress and a composer had just patented one of the most important ideas in the history of wireless. And then, the Navy filed it in a drawer. Too bulky, they said. Too strange. And they told the most beautiful woman in the world that the best way she could help the war effort was to use her face to go and sell war bonds. So she did. She raised millions. And her real gift sat untouched. Her patent quietly expired in 1959. And then, just 3 years later, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, the military finally used frequency hopping on its ships, right after it had become free to use. Hedy and Antheil never saw a single dollar. But the idea was too good to stay buried. Frequency hopping and the spread spectrum principles behind it became the backbone of modern wireless. Every time your phone finds Wi-Fi, pairs with Bluetooth, or locks onto GPS, it is using the principles a movie star sketched out in 1941. An idea now worth untold billions, woven into billions of devices. And the woman who imagined it earned, from it, exactly zero. For 50 years, not even credit. Finally, in 1997, 3 years before she died, the engineering world tracked her down and gave her its Pioneer Award. In 2014, she was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame, 14 years too late for her to hear it. When they finally handed her that award, after half a century of being treated as just a pretty face, Hedy Lamarr had a four-word reply. Well, it's about time. The world looked at Hedy Lamarr and saw a face. It missed the mind that helped wire the modern world. So the next time your phone quietly finds the signal, remember the woman they refused to take seriously. If this one surprised you, subscribe. There's a new hand-drawn story every couple of days, and I'm really glad you're here.